Congratulations, you have found sobriety, wealth, success. Today I want to ask you, have you considered the cause of the effect that you're living in? All of you guys, you no-fap guys, you semen retention guys, one thing that you seriously should consider is, are you addicted to sex, specifically pornography? Pornography is highly addictive. And a lot of the reason you guys keep relapsing and you can't stop masturbating to pornography is because you're addicted to it. Ask yourself that question. I'm not going to tell you whether you are or you're not. That's not for me to decide. That's for you to make up your own mind. But ask yourself that question. Are you addicted to pornography? Pornography is an effect. Every effect has a cause. The law of cause and effect states that every effect has its cause. So if you are addicted, you want to ask yourself, why am I addicted to pornography? What is the cause of the effect that I'm living in? Until we know the cause that creates the effect, we'll continue to live to create similar situations to satisfy a familiar feeling. This is how human beings work. Human beings are predictable in that sense. Until we know the cause that creates the effect and let go of that cause, we'll continue to perpetuate similar circumstances so that we can create and live a familiar effect. I want to tell you a story about how I became a sex addict. I'm a sex addict. Yes, today is day 406 of sobriety for me. I'm going to do this without taking all day, too. When I was born as a small baby in my crib, I felt lots of love from both of my parents. I'm the oldest. My two parents were both present for my entire young life. So from birth until age 18, they're still both present, but I don't live with them or even in the same state as them anymore. But when I was born, I felt lots of love from my parents. I felt it. I remember the feeling. I don't have a visual memory, but I remember how it felt. When I was 18 months old, my younger sister was born, and I felt a lot of that go away. Then, when I was 5 years old, my younger brother was born, and at that point, my parents, because of their financial situation, my mother had to go to work and we had to go to daycare. And what I felt was completely emotionally abandoned. At that point, neither of my parents had any more love to give to any of us. They were so busy working and doing what they wanted to do in their own spare time that they didn't have any love to give to us. For my dad, when he came home from work, the only thing that he wanted to do was crush 5 beers and pass out on the couch by 8 o'clock. And my mother, she worked at night, so she would sleep during the day, so she was extremely irritable most of the time. If she was awake, she was irritable, and she didn't have any love to give to anybody. So I felt emotionally abandoned. I also remember that my mother in particular was abusive. I mean, she was a very angry woman. She had a lot of suppressed anger that she had gotten from somewhere. So my first visual memory, this is my first visual memory. This is the first memory I have, is she took me to preschool at age 4. And I was terrified to go into that room. It seemed like there was 100 kids in there. They were all my age, but I didn't know any of them. It was loud, they were coloring on the table. They were acting silly. And I didn't know any of them, and I was absolutely terrified to go in there. And I was clinging to her pant leg. I'm a small boy. How small is a kid that's 4 years old? 2.5 feet tall, right? 3 feet tall, I don't know. But I was clinging to her pant leg, and I remember her grabbing me and shoving me into that room. And that's the first visual memory I have, because I was absolutely terrified. She was abusive. When I was a small boy, it was physical abuse. When she didn't like something I did, she would come over and throw me to the ground, push me. I mean, that's what it felt like, because from my perspective, she's a giant. Right, she's a full-grown adult, and I'm 4 years old, 5 years old, 6. She would throw me on the ground. So, imagine taking a 5-year-old kid and throwing him on the ground. This happened over and over again. And then as I got older and she couldn't do that anymore, because I got bigger, she became verbally abusive. So all I remember hearing is, like, think about, have your parents ever told you did a good job at something? From age 0 to 18, I didn't hear one compliment from my parents. What I heard from my mother was, you're a brat, you're an embarrassment. She would call me an ingrate. My dad told me I was good for nothing on multiple occasions. This is all I remember. So think about this. Like, I feel emotionally abandoned. I felt love when I was born, but I feel emotionally abandoned. And then, as I get older, they become abusive, particularly my mother. So I grew up thinking this is what love is, right? This is what love is like. I didn't know this until years later, that this is not what love feels like. But I grew up thinking that. So when I become a teenager and I become interested in women, I start to seek out women who will abuse me similar to the way my parents did. I look for abusive partners. I settle for less than I know I want and less than I deserve, and I look for someone to abuse me. I had several girlfriends, and they weren't terrible, but in college, the girl I attracted, I'm not going to say her name, but she was particularly angry. Like my mother, she had that quality. She had suppressed anger over a variety of things, and she was already a sex addict. And I'm not blaming her, it's my responsibility, but she was already a sex addict, and I know that for certain. She had told me about experiences she had had in her pornography habit. She was already a sex addict. So by me having sex with her over and over again, that habit transferred to me. You know, our energy, we exchange energy. When you have sex with someone, you're exchanging energy with them. When you have sex with people, even if you're masturbating to something on a screen, you're exchanging energy with those people. Think about that. How does that make you feel about jerking off? So I exchanged energy with her, and I became a sex addict. This is the cause that created my effect. Until I let go of all these causes, I would continue to perpetuate a similar set of circumstances to satisfy a familiar feeling. Now that I'm aware of it, I can let go of it and change my life. And that's what's assisted me to get 406 days of sobriety. But until you look back in your past and figure out what the cause is that creates the effect that you're living in, you will continue to perpetuate that, and you're never going to be able to stay sober by watching no-fap videos and semen retention videos. Although there's a lot of excellent channels, and those guys that are really gifted that are putting those videos together, and I like them and I love their content. You're never going to be able to do it until you admit that you're an addict and figure out what the cause is that's creating the effect that you're living in. Have you ever considered how good it would feel to be liberated from pornography for good? Are you committed to changing the quality of your life? Enhancing the quality of your life? If so, I want you to email me. I offer free consultations, and my email address is in the description box. Like, subscribe, share. Dennis out.